Welcome to Samu't Sari, Conversations with Mimi, a weekly podcast by Social, also a member of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Samu't Sari is where we can show that ordinary people do extraordinary things. Tune in to be entertained and to learn something new with your host, Mimi Lorilla.
Hello and welcome everybody to Samu't Sari, Conversations with Mimi. This is your host, Mimi Lorilla, in another episode. We are a podcast featuring topics of interest to both men and women alike. We feature guests who share their passion and commitment to their profession or talents. Here at Samu't Sari, we share stories to inspire you, featuring stories of ordinary people who make extraordinary things. And today, I have another guest who is seemingly an ordinary person, but she's doing a lot of extraordinary things. And she's imported from another, 50,000 miles away in the United States, particularly in the state of Hawaii. Let me welcome to the show Miss Sydney Villegas. Hi, Sydney.
Hi, Mimi.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
So
Hope you are too.
Oh, of course. I'm trying to be bright and I'm trying to be positive amidst all the challenges of our daily life. So, Sydney, maybe the people are wondering why I invited you to the show. So, I think the best way to start is by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing, what's your profession at the moment, and some other tidbits about Sydney. Get to know Sydney first.
Okay, sure. So, hi. I'm Sydney and I've got 3 kids. I moved to Hawaii 10 years ago and I think this is my 11th year. And I work with my husband, taking care of my family, and I teach. So luckily I was able to continue teaching. My first 5 years, I spent it at University of Hawaii, Maui College, as an English instructor and also a Filipino studies instructor. So I was able to build the curriculum for teaching Tagalog 101 and Philippine literature in English. And then after that, because life here is really busy and child care is also an issue. So I just thought one day, since most of the papers I have and surrounding me are with DOE, that's how we call the Department of Education, and 3 of my kids are in the public school. So why not make a shift? So I transferred to the Department of Education 4 years ago. And from there, really, the rest I can say is history, because that's where I really got my job, my tenure in the job, and I think established myself in a way that I got to teach high school and middle school. So first year high school, then 3 years middle school, and this coming school year, I'll be in high school again. Because, that's how the districts work.
Right.
They'll just assign you to whatever schools, depending on your specialization or expertise. And so, for 11 years, I've been enjoying life here. They say in paradise. I'd like to think so. And also got to have and made friends too. Make friends with some Filipino communities and some other subgroups here in Hawaii.
Okay, so for people that don't know much about us, Sydney, we are connected. We are connected.
Yeah.
So Sydney and I used to work at one of the premier private universities in the Philippines, DLSU Manila. Sydney and I did a lot of work together because we work at the same department. And one of Sydney's children is my inaanak. Yeah.
Right.
So we
Godchild.
are connected. Yes, a godchild. So Sydney, let's go back to your teaching. So teaching in the Philippines for a long, long time. You are also an artist, a creative, because you do theater arts and all those live performances. And in a way, you try your best to incorporate that in your teaching. have you
Right.
continued your passion when you moved to Hawaii? Your performances, your being creative, how did you incorporate that if you did have a chance to,
Mm-hmm.
continue that in your new life in Hawaii?
Aha. So you're very right in saying that I continued integrating, at least integrating theater arts in my teaching. Because when I was an instructor, and I think up to this time, I always use creative dramatics in teaching English. So I make my students do role play, improvisations, improves, and skits and dramas. And back, let's say 3 years ago, when I was a Filipino teacher, I directed play production, so plays, and the students also had this song festival. So where they got to sing in Tagalog and Ilocano, because we have two
Wow.
major groups here. Actually, Tagalog is really just a secondary group.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is Ilocano. So I directed and organized song festivals maybe for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And even up to now, my students know that my way of teaching is always, connected to theater arts. Like I do games, and now we have open mics and poetry. They call it a poetry glam. So they're all out. I think, am very creative and artistic up to this day.
Wow. So if it's a passion of yours, it will never ever go away. So Sydney, is there
Exactly.
some comparison or insight that you can share with our viewers today about
Mhm.
the type of students that you have at the moment compared to the
Aha.
type of students that you have before? Because I'm assuming mostly Hawaii is multicultural as well. So
Yes, very diverse.
yeah, so how do you cope with those nuances of those diversity, cultural diversity, and the type of students that you have? Are they more, what do you call that, more um, committed to their learning compared to the students in the Philippines, or are they more resilient? Or just give us a little bit of a flavor of the kinds of students that you teach.
Okay. Right. I think I wouldn't like to say that there's a big difference. Kids are kids, students are students. For college students, I consider them as well driven, also resilient. But if I could just observe before in the Philippines, I can really say that most of our students are academics. So they really study to get the degree, get a good job and really a profession. While in college, when I moved here, I noticed that still there's the passion and the resilience, the commitment, but it's more, I can say, practical,
Mm,
because they just go to the community college and get that certificate so they can practice their skill, and uh, you know they're more of career ready, so that they can be
mm,
career ready. Unlike in the Philippines, we are more of college ready. When you
mm,
have your college graduate, there's more prestige, there's more like honor, and of course it's still a pride for our
mm,
parents. But what I
mm,
noticed is that when I moved to Hawaii, everything is really very practical. I mean, I'll get this English 22 or English 100 so that I can go to culinary. I can work at the hotel. I'll get this tourism so that I can work in some offices. So it's really practical. That's why I had to make a big shift
mm,
from being so academic in my approach. I learned how to customize my lessons, fit it to the needs of the students.
mm,
It's not that I watered it down, but it's more practical, more to the point, and more applicable, or really applicable or practical to the field they're going to be in.
mm,
And for elementary and high school, of course, we can say that Filipinos back home can be very, they're also respectful, the students here, but I think our students back home are more obedient, okay, Whereas I wouldn't like to say that my students now are rude. It's just that they are very direct. They speak their minds, and they can really talk to me like they're talking to their friends.
Yes. How interesting.
Yeah.
Sydney, I think we need a part two together
Uh-huh.
just to talk about
Uh-huh.
your teaching experiences and your teaching strategies. So I will invite
Right.
you again for another episode to just deal with that because I find that
Sure.
fascinating. And I'm sure a lot of
Yeah.
teachers all over the world, especially the Filipino teachers, will be interested in your story. But
Uh-huh.
let's go
Sure.
back to Hawaii. What made you
Mm-hmm.
decide that Hawaii is the right place for you to uproot your family and settle there
Mm-hmm.
now? Why
Oh,
not
very. Yeah.
California? Why not New
California.
York? Why not
Uh-huh.
the Midwest?
Okay, that's a very good question. And, I've really been thinking about it, and it's a very good time for me to voice out what I've been thinking. Because, for most times, I'm just alone. Okay.
Mm,
So, thank you so much, Mimi, for the opportunity. Now, why Hawaii? Because, Hawaii is really a perfect place to build a family. It's so, you can say laid back, but it's so calm. The communities are really tightly knit and close. For vacations, we would go to California, to New York, to Chicago, and I don't think I can live in big cities. I've observed that. Of course, I have nothing against the people there. It's
mm,
just that now I can have not a comparison, but a good view of how to live in Hawaii and how to
mhm,
live on the mainland.
mhm,
So here, it's really just like Manila,
mm,
but mostly high context
mhm,
because it's different since people are also busy. People lead their own lives,
mhm,
but you can feel the connection.
mhm,
And kids are really close and respectful of the elders
mhm.
because that's what's being taught us.
Yes.
On TV, on media, at school, that our elderlies or the kupunas are the most important people. Like if I've got, for example, if I have a student who doesn't listen to me, I'll just tell that student, I'm going to tell your kupuna or your tutu. Another word, that's the Hawaiian term for lola or lolo.
Okay.
And your grandma or grandpa. And that student will really keep quiet because that's how high that student regards the grandmom and the grandpa or
Wow.
even the parents. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
So,
yeah, I love it here.
so Sydney, I'm thinking that I want to go to Hawaii for a future holiday
Of course. Of course,
with my
the whole
with
family is
everybody.
welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Is your house big
Right.
enough for all of us?
No, you have to have not really that big enough.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Uh,
Sydney, because I know that you said you have three kids, and obviously
yes.
you uprooted them. And can you say that the way that you raised them together with your
Mhm.
husband is still in keeping with predominantly Filipino values, or are you incorporating Hawaiian, American, and a little bit of
Mhm.
Filipino now? How is it like raising three kids in another country for you?
Oh, good. Just like what you said. So it's a combination of Filipino uproots, Filipino way of rearing the kids with a touch of Hawaiian and American. So American in particular. What I
Mm,
mean is, so I was able, and we were able to teach them and to instill in them respect and obedience, following what not that what we tell them, but realizing that what we tell them really benefits them, and at the same time they can speak their minds. So
mhm,
I'm really open. If I tell them, okay, this is what we do, and then somebody will tell me, for example, my eldest, but I don't think I'll do that. Or can I
mm,
make alternatives? Or can
mhm,
mommy, is this mandatory?
mhm,
Even if, for example, to give you a concrete example. So, of course, we love mungo. You still
mhm,
know the that mung bean sauteed dish. So every Friday, that's what we have. And then,
You're
but
keeping with
the
the
kids,
Filipino tradition, the mung bean on a
right? So very
Friday.
Filipino. But then my eldest would ask me if it's mandatory or if it's okay to have another dish, and I would say, yeah, that's fine. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of um, dynamics really
Mm-hmm.
play
Yeah,
in the household. So
that's
it's
right.
more of, okay, we are the parents. We're not saying that you obey us and you follow us, but let's talk about it. It's more of, in here I was really able to make use of what we've learned or what we've been teaching our students way back home. And it's more of communication. We are not going
Mm-hmm.
to compromise, but we are just going to sit down and find out how we can figure things out. And I
That's
think that
right.
works.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. So you talked about how family is very integral, especially the elders in the Hawaiian culture, which you are obviously,
Yeah.
you know, you are in that kind of culture now. Are there support networks
Mhm.
available to you and your husband and your kids to help you out with your daily things, your sense of socialization, your sense of connection? I'm pretty sure it's the same where
Mhm.
you are. You don't have a katulong or a nanny for your
Yeah.
kids. So how do
Mhm.
you cope with those social support systems?
So again, time management.
Mm.
And in terms of support system, good thing. Ricky has a big family here in Hawaii, here on Maui. So when the kids were young, we really got help from his mother, from my mother-in-law. So he also has his sister and brother. And so, especially during my first few years when I was still not driving
Mm-hmm.
around, when I still had to work and had to leave my boys. Ricky's family really was a great help.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they were growing, when they were growing up, I was able to do it myself. And in terms of socialization, we belong to Saint Teresa Catholic Filipino Church,
Mm-hmm.
and so Saint Teresa Church Filipino Catholic Club.
Mm-hmm.
So, aside from our spiritual growth, we were able to nourish our social component, the social side of ourselves, and our lives by getting ourselves involved in church work and at the STFCC.
Mm-hmm. So, Sydney, as
Yeah.
you might notice, I'm asking you a lot of questions about the different facets of your life, the different hats that you wear. You
Mhm.
are a teacher, you're a mom, you belong to this
Yeah.
cultural group, you are now living in
Yes.
another culture. The reason why I wanted to ask you all these different questions is because I want to let people know that their experiences are probably the same as yours, so they're not alone. And I also want them
Yeah.
to get a little bit of an inspiration from your experience, because I know that you are a person who has to do a lot of things, not just because of survival, but because this is the way of life that we have. So you mentioned a
Yes.
while ago about time management. How,
Hmm.
how do you effectively juggle home management and your professional career? Like,
Uh-huh.
how do you divide your time, if there's such a thing as dividing your time? How do you incorporate them all in a 24-hour period, for example?
Hmm. Oh, by time management, I really mean having a schedule. I really wouldn't like to say I divide my time, but I schedule my time and I schedule my life.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is, especially now that, in 2 weeks, we will all go back to school. It's easing in restrictions, and one of the ways that we ease restriction is to make the students go back to school. I know that will really be tough, but what Ricky and I do is we sit down and we talk about our schedules and make sure that we have time. We know our time and our responsibilities. Now,
Mhm.
personally, so with that schedule, I wake up very early. So that's very important thing. So for
Mhm.
example, if my class, I have to leave home because my school is still 1 hour drive from
Mhm.
my place. So I really have to wake up, like if I have to leave at 6 o'clock, like 4 o'clock, and I really make sure that I cook breakfast. I leave everything because I'll be the first to leave the house, and Ricky takes over, and Ricky is the one who's gonna drop off Selena. The
Mhm.
two boys, the high school boys, take the bus.
Mhm.
Okay, so but again, there's orientation. Okay, if you're gonna take the bus, this is your schedule. So I kind of be really the manager, the time
Yes,
manager here in the house. And then,
that's right.
like the night before, I also make sure that instead of watching TV, I would really prepare what will be brought, what will be
Mhm.
used the next day. So it's
Wow.
very important that I make sure the bags are okay.
Mhm.
I check them, inspect them, and then the clothes that they're gonna wear, if they're still undecided, it's okay. But at least I remind them, are
Mhm.
you are you decided, or do you know what you're gonna wear the next day? And I also do that. Mimi, I
So
also do that
yeah,
to myself. So I prepare everything.
okay. So are you're
Yeah.
sort of telling me, and I'm hearing from you that everything is clockwork in your household. Everything needs
Right,
to
because
be, precise. So if you miss
yes,
anything, it's just a minor glitch. But everything has to
right.
run smoothly because once you're out of the house, you have
Yeah.
no more control of everything that's
Yes,
going on. Okay, and you need that for
exactly.
your peace of mind as well. So that is your
Right.
life during the week. What about your weekend? Do you have time to unwind, relax, put your feet up, and not have a care or worry about everything that's going on?
Right. So Fridays, for example, I really look forward to Fridays because that's going to be my relaxing day.
Mm,
So Friday, right? So I'm more loosen up. I
mm,
am more relaxed. I can watch the TV, and I can really hang out with the kids, for example. But and also then Saturday and Sundays, although Saturday is my laundry day, so
mhm.
that's kind of busy. But in the afternoon, we get to go to the beach or to the stores if we have to go to the stores. But we really make sure that we also have an activity as a family. And the
Mhm.
beaches here are just down the road.
Really?
So
You don't
I will
have to
really feel
pay an
guilty if
entrance
I'm not
fee.
gonna go there.
You don't need an
Right.
entrance fee. You just go to the beach anytime you
No.
want to.
No
Mm.
entrance fee. You can even get in to, you can even not really get in, but you can even go to the beaches owned by the posh hotels, 5-star hotels here. You just,
Mm.
it's that open.
Mhm. Can you
Mhm.
also do barbecue
So,
in the beach? Like,
right,
cook
right.
your
So
own food?
sometimes, yeah, sometimes, most of the times we bring our food, but if our relatives would invite us
Mm.
and have barbecue on the
Mm-mm.
beach, we also do that. And because
Wow.
Mimi, most of our Filipino friends are so fond of parties,
Mm.
partying, birthday party, and graduation parties. So
Yes.
I really don't uh, feel any homesickness. Okay, I'm 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 always happy attending different parties. Not
Mm,
because
that's
for
good.
socialization, but again, that's my time to connect with our
Yes, that's
kababayan, with our
right. That's
friends.
right. Mm.
Right.
Okay, which brings me to my next question, Sid, because you've given me a picture of your life there in Hawaii, but we've not talked about the elephant in the room, which I don't think is an elephant already. It's already there. COVID-19. So
Mm-hmm.
what is your situation in Hawaii in terms of COVID and your freedom to move around and the threat of those very dire situation to people who get infected with the virus?
Mm-hmm. Now, situation here, Mimi, is really not normal. So I'm anxious. The whole family really is scared. We haven't really, well, we've been going out, but we really stayed home for
Mm.
almost 4 months. And luckily, my husband and I had to work from home.
Mhm.
And so that really wasn't a problem. But we experienced that quarantine effect. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad effect, but really it's so restricting and so limiting. We're scared to go out and eat out, and actually, we may be happy, we may be okay, but at the back of our mind, especially my mind,
Mm.
I'm so scared. Like
Mhm.
these 2 weeks before opening of school, most of our teachers in our union are scared to go back, and I personally am thinking of so many things. Like I wouldn't like to get infected. I wouldn't like the
Mhm.
the students to get infected as well,
That's
and I
right.
wouldn't like to my own kids to get infected. So these are the things. It's really an elephant. It's really a burden on our shoulders. But I
Mm.
know it's not only us who are feeling
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
but many people. It's really a concern since most of our relatives work in the hotel and they
Okay.
are actually under unemployment. And right, I can really feel it's that
Mhm.
we used to really say that, yeah, we live in paradise. But now at this moment with COVID-19,
Mhm.
we're not feeling that way. We're
Okay.
restricting, or we're really closing Maui and the whole of Hawaii up, to the visitors, because we really wouldn't like them to get
To
us
bring the
infected.
infection, to bring the infection
Yes,
in the island.
right.
Pero
Yeah, and we've
Sydney,
got we've got deaths too, so I really feel sorry for the families.
yes, yes, for sure. But how is your routine like now? Because you are working from home. Did it change dramatically, or you still feel very busy as though you were not on lockdown? Because you said you have to time everything, you have to prepare everything.
Yeah.
But now that you're working from home, is it more challenging doing your home management and career work at the same
Mhm.
place?
Right. Well, at first it was challenging,
Mm.
but because again, maybe that's the kind of person I am. I always have a routine. I
Mm.
made use of my routine as a way to make things really organized and to make things look like normal, even if they're not. So it's challenging in a way that, of course, I'd like to go out, or I'd like to explore other things to make my work better. But at the same time, it's more convenient because I don't have to leave the house. I
That's
also
right.
love that feeling, because Mimi, I was also thinking before COVID-19, I would even pray inside the car. I hope I'll have time, because I was really, really tired.
Mm.
My life is okay. After teaching, I have to pick up my kids from an after school program.
Mm-hmm.
It's so we call it Kihe Youth Center. So after picking them up, if the one of the boys or the boys have their activities like basketball and soccer or
Mm-hmm.
tennis, I
Mm-hmm.
have to drive them to the place and pick them up, and then worry about cooking and organizing the house when we come home. So I would always pray, I hope I have a break. I hope I have a day
Mm.
off. And then God maybe in a way answered my prayer, and I got to rest.
Yeah,
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 it was really
that's
a
good.
respite. It was a
Yeah,
short
yeah,
break, because I
yeah.
know we may be easing in restrictions. We may be going back to our daily routine amid sorry, COVID-19, but it's gonna be very busy again. So
Yes.
busy.
So take the most of this opportunity to kind of
Yes.
recharge, breathe
Yeah.
again a little bit, enjoy your kids. I'm assuming that your kids are also learning from home, doing
Oh yes.
online
Uh-huh.
learning. because of the COVID. So take as much time that you need, and maybe they could learn some more new skills while they are at home. Like my kids have learned how to cook more. They said that I've improved
Yeah.
my cooking skills because I have more time to do it. It's still a bit of a tricky thing when you have
Mhm.
work, you are at home, and then you have to pause for a while, cook the food, prepare the other bits and pieces. So life is not going to be static, as you know, because you said
Mhm.
everything is clockwork, and your routine makes you more in control. Not control, but more
Yeah.
at peace with everything that's going on, knowing that everything is on schedule. So I really appreciate
Right.
you for sharing that experience with me. So if for those people who are listening to us or watching us right now, who still
Mhm.
are in that confusion stage, or still not in control of their routine as a result of COVID-19, what would be your advice to the other moms there, especially the younger moms who may be juggling uh, little kids, smaller ones
Mhm.
than yours, because yours is towards the teen years.
Yes.
So what can you offer them to make them feel a bit more positive about these things that are happening around us?
I've got maybe three things to tell the mothers. I've learned this myself, and I'll really be very happy to share these ways or things that I've learned with all the mothers out there. Number one is really to think about, not really think, but implement what you have to do for the day. So, for example, part of being having or talking about that routine. So, always have in mind how does the day look like? How would I like my day to look like for today?
Mm-hmm.
So first, and I hope it's okay if I become a bit spiritual. During the COVID-19, I learned how to tune in to EWTN, the Eternal Word
Yeah.
network. That they offer mass and daily readings. So I started my day with a holy mass. And then after that, because I really would like to, be healthy, I did my walking. On the first few months, just around the house. And now I've been going to the beaches. I've been going out. I have this kind of route, just still
Mm,
with neighborhood, just for me to have a little exercise.
that's
And then
right.
after that, I take it one day at a time. So today, I'm gonna clean the bathroom. The next day, my focus will be all the surfaces. I have to dust off and clean. The next day, then I have to take a look at each kid's rooms and find out what I can do. So I don't overwhelm myself with chores. What I do is I just look. Okay, this is my major activity for the day. Even minor activity like, okay, fold up the clothes. So I do that. That's my goal. And then after that, second, okay, have your schedule, have your major or minor activity. Number two is really pray,
Mm-hmm.
find time to read the Bible or read your devotions, because I've got my devotion book, or even online, just for me to get inspired and for me to feel at ease and peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
And third is really to meditate. So take time to breathe in, breathe out, do meditation, and find your center. And when you find your center, you will be assured that this is the end. Okay, we will overcome this,
Mm-hmm.
and there will really be a light, at the end of the tunnel, and that will also give you some peace and reassurance that everything will be fine. So just those three things: make your goal for the day, pray, and meditate. By
Mm-hmm.
meditation, I also listen to my favorite music. I listen to your music, Mimi, and Jana's
Are
music.
you
You
entertained
know,
by my music?
I yes, yes, definitely. And I also appreciate, as what you said, I also check out YouTube and I watch, people cook. I watch what they do. And that also, frees my mind and diverts my attention,
Mhm.
from COVID-19. I
Yes.
also have subscriptions. Again, I think that's a good tip as well. Subscribe to magazines, online magazines, which are just for free,
Mhm.
like the Healthline. And it gives me so many tips on how to keep your home safe during COVID, what to avoid when you go out during COVID 19,
Mhm.
and how to prepare going back to school
Yes.
during COVID 19. So, all these things really are helpful.
Mhm. I think we are at the
Yeah.
point in our lives where, like you said, we don't overwhelm ourselves, or we
Right.
don't really kind of take on too much. If you do it day to day,
Yeah.
and you have your, like you said, you have your minor and your major goal on a given
Right.
day, and you mix it up with things that will relax you, that gives you a sense of
Right.
balance and peace, and it minimizes your anxiety and whatever it is that's bothering you. So I think those are very, very good tips, Sydney, and I'm pretty sure that the others will appreciate now the value of scheduling, because before I used to think of a
Yes.
schedule as a
Good.
scary thing, but now a schedule is your
Uh-huh.
best friend and your lifeline to being sane rather than insane. It keeps you
It
sane.
is.
It keeps you on
Right.
track. It keeps you on track. Okay, Sydney. There's a lot of other things that I wanted to talk to you about, but there's only a limited time that we have for the show. But definitely, I
Uh-huh.
will invite you for a round two, because being a teacher, you have lots of
Mm.
teaching strategies that you can share with our audiences. We have a lot of teachers around the world
Yeah.
who might learn a thing or two from your experiences. So I really wish to thank you for your time, sharing your as a glimpse of your life there in Hawaii with me. So thank you very much. And for people who are
Thank
watching us,
you.
yeah, for people who are watching us, if you have any stories or any topics you wish to feature in the show, please reach out to me at mimi@dinosocial.com. Samu't is a member of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. You can also reach out to us through the Facebook page and through my Twitter account, and of course my YouTube channel. And then please
Mhm.
don't forget to like and subscribe to Samu't Conversations with Mimi, and to the other Guerrilla Podcast programs, and of course to my own YouTube channel. So Sydney, thank you very much. Good luck. I'll see you again in another episode. And as a way of ending the show, I usually just wave goodbye to everybody. So I invite you to wave goodbye and say goodbye to our audience members, listeners for today. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mimi, for having me. It's
Thank
an
you.
honor.
Thank you, Sydney. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
If you find value in this episode, make sure you like and subscribe to be notified of new releases. If you have any questions or suggestions, please reach out to Gorilla Podcast or send us an email at mimi@dinosocial.com. Spread the word and don't forget to tune in next time.